Okay, so I'm just going to explain what I was trying to do slash communicate with this video, because it's super abstract and artistic and like I don't know. Yeah, I mean it doesn't make a lot of sense unless you actually know what's going on. So, okay, so this is an editing timeline, right? This should be relatively self-explanatory to most. Up here, where my mouse is, we have all the video, and then down here is all the audio. So yeah, my assignment, I guess like the intention behind this video was to communicate the name Attick Yomin right here, which means the Ancient of Days in Aramaic. So this comes from Daniel 7. It's mentioned 3 times, and it's like this vision that is had, and it goes into like the 4 beasts, and then like the Ancient of Days is on the throne, and he like defeats the beast in the end of the vision, etc. Super interesting passage, kind of like Revelation vibes almost. So I went for like a super artistic interpretation of like what that means. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so first thing, this is Aramaic for the Ancient of Days. And yeah, so we start with this, or I guess it's Aramaic for Attick Yomin, which is how you pronounce that. This audio track right here is Aramaic, and it's a Aramaic priest reading Daniel 7. So I had this going in the beginning. And then I really wanted like contradiction to be like a big part of this, because like if you were to step out of time, then like contradiction would be a big part, because like for us time is linear, like the past, present, future, but for God, like anything goes. So I wanted like just this whole video to have lots of contradiction. So we have the Arabic music and the Aramaic reading of Daniel 7 versus the modern clock with like LED lights. So that's just contradiction 1. And also I've broken this into Act 1, Act 2, and then Act 3, and I'll explain that later, but that's just kind of the structure of how I have it like mentally set up. So yeah, we are going through, it's counting down, and then we get here, and then it speeds up. And I also added a riser here, which here we're going to mute all this so we can just listen to the riser. Yeah, that just builds the tension of the speeding up clock and kind of makes you feel uneasy. That was the goal. But yeah, again, like I wanted the speed up to be like we really have no control over time. Like we possess absolutely no control. And then here, there's exactly 4 seconds of silence / darkness. I wanted that to be like, so like in the prophecy, there's like the 4 beasts mentioned, and then the Ancient of Days defeats them, and the first thing out of the darkness is the words, the Ancient of Days, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, yeah. So, on a technical note, these are all the audio tracks, and this is the Arabian song. This is the other song that I used, and again on the contradiction thing, we have this song which has synths and like was definitely produced on a computer, 808s, all that good stuff, versus the super old Arabian sounding song. So like modern versus ancient, again, just another contradiction when it comes to time. But this time it's like sonic and not visual. Yeah, so we'll keep going. Alright, so now we have visually Egypt, pyramids, and then spliced in cuts of New York City. Again, just another contradiction. But so I kind of wanted this video to have like a couple thematic aspects when it came to the structure of the video. So like over here, the words pop up on the beat. Yeah, and I want it to be like there's kind of like there's a lot of chaos going on with like the speeding up time, and then when we get later on in the video with like all the crazy stuff that happens, but like God still definitely has, there's still very much order, right? It's like a chaotic wildness, but it's still very structured. So like the cuts here are on beat. Right, and I just wanted like God is predictable, but the way he does things is unpredictable, right? Like he's predictable in his character, but the way he does it is the unexpected thing. So yeah, just a little bit of that. All right, moving on. Again, New York. And then this part, this little backwards bit, was kind of foreshadowing of all the crazy stuff that happens right over here. And I just thought it was kind of dope to pull that off. Like, and then just like for a little nerd moment for me, sonically I dropped the synth in the moment like it comes back. Oh my gosh, I just think that's so cool. Yeah, and then another note on the music, like you see all this, these are the different stems. So like this is only drums, this is only bass, this is only instrumental. And then same here, you can see drums, bass, instrument, and melody, which just lets me play with like all the individual components of the music super efficiently. So like the synths actually came all the way to meet, like it just started there. But I wanted to bring it down to drop in here just because I thought it looked better and felt better, and I wanted to pay attention over here with the Egypt bit to pay attention to like the drums in context of the cuts again with like the order thing. All right, moving on. All right, so the synth drops in, and then we have the definition of time. So that's again the theme of this video is like the Ancient of Days is like the Lord of Time. So this is definition of time. This is kind of the intermission of what I call Act 2. Right, again, the words went away on the bass drop. Boom, boom. And then the cut came in on the snap. All right, again, this is about to get crazy. Also, it's gonna freak out because it likes to freak out. So this part, wait, we might have got, yeah. Yeah, so going back. Yeah, I can't play it on my computer because my computer will probably crash because each of these cuts are individual frames, Okay? And I literally just took like this clip of New York that I found and mixed and matched and spliced it all together. Yeah, that's just technically what happened, how I did that. And then, like, thematically, I wanted it to be like you're taking like the face off a grandfather clock almost, and you see the inner workings of the clock, but in this case, like the inner workings of time. So, like, I wanted weird things to happen, like chronologically, like the cars are supposed to be moving forward, but they freak out here, and then I made this clip. So this is the main timeline, and then we're going into this compound clip. I took like 10 watch sounds that I found and spliced them all together here. And then I took this sound, which is here, we'll turn it up so we can hear it. Right, so that is here, we'll just go back. Right, so this is the Daniel 7 that's being read over the super static cuts. And like thematically, I wanted it to be that, yeah, like we're taking the grandfather clock off, and we see the inner workings of time, but like Daniel 7's being read like almost through that, or like behind the scenes all the time, like forever. Like the Ancient of Days is always on his throne, controlling like time. And then again, thematically, I wanted this song here to represent like the linearness of time and just kind of like a constant marching forward. And as we get here with this sound, and then like the static cuts, the music completely drops out. It goes completely mute. And you just hear the watches and the Daniel 7. Alright, so then continuing linearly through time, and then again, I want it to happen 3 times just to reinforce it. And again, this is the same thing, all the watches. And yeah, again, the music has dropped out. You can see the darker thing patches here it means it's muted. And I wanted it to be different every time. So like here visually it's super static, and here it goes backwards. Oh, if it'll play. There we go. Boom, backwards. Just because, like, again, like God doesn't really work in the same way twice. So like he could make it static all the time, he could reverse time, but like just to show yeah, like the ultimate power of God. And then again, and also these come in on the snares of the song. So if you look right here, this is the drum stem. So these little blips are the snare. So you can see blip there, and then so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then the bass drop comes in again. But point is, like I wanted to keep these on beat as much as I could to reinforce like the structured chaos, I guess. And then again, like if God wanted to, he could just stop time. And that was kind of the idea with like the here, but you still have the clock noises. And then linear comes in again. Oh, I messed it up. Right. Alright, and then we fade to a completely left hook / turn, whatever. This is the movie Tenet. I don't know. I just think it's a very
have dropped it.
So the main character in the movie is starting to be able to like play with time, and I think it's a very human reaction, like what he says and how this scene plays out.
How can it move before I touch it?
From your point of view, you caught it, but from the bullet's point of view, you dropped it.
The cause comes before effect.
No, that's just the way we see time.
Well, what about free will?
That bullet wouldn't have moved if you hadn't put your hand there. Either way we run the tape, you made it happen. Don't try to understand it. Feel it.
And that's the line that's like super important in my head. It's like, it is pretty cheesy, like don't try to understand it, feel it, but like ultimately we can't understand like God being outside of time. That doesn't make any sense to us. So maybe don't try to understand it, you know, like.
Don't try to understand.
And then that reverse I added, you can see the orange clip right here is reversed. And then I added the same riser I added from the beginning just to start to build the tension. And then I repeated the line 3 times again. Or it's repeated 3 times just to kind of emphasize it again. So there it is again. Reversed, and there it is. Alright, here's an Albert Einstein quote. And then I hijacked it a little bit and added a word and claimed it to my own. And then this is the same Daniel 7, and the moment it switches, he says, Attick Yomin. Alright, so that's kind of it. Or like my thought process behind it. And then yeah, I'll explain the 3 acts in my head. So I wanted this to be like the concept. Like what, like just conceptually we have the contradiction theme. We have the time theme with the clock. Like sonic versus visual contradiction here. And then I wanted this to be like putting it into practice. Like what does it look like for the Ancient of Days to exist? And then we had continuous contradiction. And then like the Ancient of Days applied, like God messing with time. And then this, like the Tenet clip was like the conclusion, or like our human response to it, like not really understanding it. And then yeah, the Tenet part and the clips, or the quotes, were like the human response and like what we do with this information, like this whole part. But yeah, that was my idea. This literally took me so long. This took me like probably 10 hours to do, but I'm super proud of it. I think it's really good. Super conceptual, but yes, I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that is why I made the decisions I did. So yes.